Today we're going to be talking about a vehicle upside down and a basketing of the vehicle to secure it. So as we arrive on scene, everything we're typically doing, remember, our outward or inward circle, we have a victim inside this vehicle that needs to be removed. The weight of the vehicle based on the motor is typically going to be in the front, so what do we end up having? The rear of this vehicle is elevated and we want to secure that vehicle. What's the best way to achieve that? Is by basketing the trunk. We've gone over other techniques using just the struts, but with some of the new equipment that's coming to the trucks, with the chains, we're going to go over that technique, and that's what we're going to demonstrate as one of other ways to accomplish the same task. So right now, our engine crew arrives on scene. Officer's done his 360. We determine we need to stabilize this vehicle. First thing we need to do, get our step cribbing out. In the rear of the vehicle, we can take two of our step cribbing, place them back on the C-post towards the outer edge. In the front of that vehicle, we had our step cribbing upside down like big wedges to help capture that vehicle from moving forward. Here we are, we got our chain, and we're going to basket the rear of this vehicle. So with our Rescue 42 Juniors, we begin to position our chain. The two firefighters are starting with our 42 Juniors. Are going to open them up. Now when we go to capture our angle, remember what's going to end up happening, we're going to start bringing these two together. So one thing we do want to take into consideration, our distance is, or our angle is usually about 45 to 60 degrees. In this particular case, we want to start probably closer to that 45, because if we bring those two together, it's going to bring it up into that 60-degree angle. If we start closer to that 60, we're going to move ourselves much more vertical, and that's not where we want to be at. So if you notice, one of them has loosened up the 42 strap, disconnected from the top, and passed it through to the other firefighter. That firefighter's placed it, hooked it to the bottom plate of their 42. Now, we capture our chain in the slots of the plate of our 42. Now we're going to start moving that chain back, and we're going to talk about it a little bit as we begin through this process, but think about what's going to happen as we pressurize and capture the rear of this vehicle. That trunk is slightly sloped, so we're going to go over some techniques to help secure that chain a little bit better in place. Now once we're ready, we're going to take as much slack of the chain as we can out, and now we're going to begin that ratcheting strap. These 42s are going to draw into each other. As they begin to draw in, you notice the chain starts tightening up across the rear of the trunk. Remember, we're not lifting the trunk, we're just capturing the load and where it's positioned so it doesn't sag or shift at any point in that time. At this point in time, we can see the chain is nice and snug against the trunk. And now one thing we want to prevent is how we don't want this chain to slip in this direction. So once we've captured it, now we can come back with the ratchet strap we already have on the truck. We're not looking to pull this chain back. All we're doing is going to capture it from moving to the rear of the trunk itself. So we can place one hook on one side, loop it around the tires. All right, this vehicle would typically have tires on anyway. So in front of those rear tires, they're changing out the pins right now, and then we're going to capture this chain just below where the strut is now. And all we're going to need to do is actually ratchet and apply just a slight amount of pressure so that the chain doesn't shift in this direction. All right, we're not going to be pulling the chain. We're just going to capture so it doesn't move any further than it is right here. So it's important when you do this particular technique, we're not applying a lot of pressure to that ratchet strap. We're just capturing the chain in place where it's at. There we go, we're just applying a little bit of tension, and that's all we need. Making sure when we're complete, we close all of our ratchet straps in the closed position. Check for our tensioning a little bit of policing up the area, move the straps up on top of the vehicle, make sure everything's tightened in. We're able to now secure our vehicle, and now if we needed to make an approach from the rear of the vehicle at this point in time or the side, we're now ready to move in that direction. Now it's time to put that firefighter in, approach the victim, cover them with the sheet, begin our assessment. All right, we want to make sure we're able to stabilize that vehicle before we put a firefighter in the vehicle with the victim. Okay. Prior to this, we're going to be talking to the victim and letting them know what's kind of going on. A lot of things are happening. So this is one way to basket. I think on the grounds before, we talked about a few other different techniques, but with the chain coming, with the new ratchet straps and the clusters, this is another way to capture in a basket fashion using the Rescue 42 Juniors and basket this vehicle.